Welcome to the channel. My name's Sean. I'm a full-time clothing eBay reseller, and I'm going to show you guys how I store 5,000 items in my garage, and this is my inventory system. For starters, I want to get this clear. I did watch Daily Refinements. I'm not in his group, but I did follow his methods, and this seems to be the best way to store a lot of clothes in a small area. The first thing you need to do if you want to start storing clothes like I do is you need to get some boxes. Now these boxes are from Uline. They're the 30 by 8 by 8. The reason I picked these boxes is because, like I said before, Chris had done that, and it seems 8 inches is good for the sweaters, kind of like that I have on right here, as well as t-shirts. Now, if you're trying to sell shoes or any other category, you're going to need different boxes that match that. And if I were back in shoes, I would probably do the 10 inches wide rather than the 8s because the boots have a hard time fitting in the 8-inch boxes. These boxes are pretty expensive. On the Uline website, which I'll show you here, they're going to show that it's actually kind of cheap, but whenever you go to ship the item, the shipping cost is extremely high. One of the main reasons the shipping is really high is because these boxes are pretty big. They ship them in bundles like this, and it's 25. Now, whenever you order these, 25 I believe is the minimum. I ordered, I think, 50 and then 100 and then 100 or possibly 200. I'm not really sure. So it's a lot of money. It's better to order more, but if you're just getting started, I would probably just go either somewhere local to find like a long narrow box and kind of test it out for yourself, or you could buy one bundle, but it is going to cost a little bit to get started this way. As you can see from my setup, all these boxes, I have the eBay tape, which I get with my coupon, and I use that to reinforce the box in the front. And even taping the box, I have a bit of a method, and I want to show you guys that just because, you know, I don't want you wasting too much tape, but I don't want you putting the box together and then not having it stay together in the long haul. These boxes have been running in this system for 1.5 years, and I haven't had any of them fail me yet. So the easiest way I found to do this is to find yourself a flat surface. You can do it on the ground, but I like to be raised up so I don't have to bend over as much. You first open the box and you fold the ends in over here. And then whenever you want to fold the other two together, take a small piece of tape and you're going to tape across so that it doesn't come apart as you're trying to make the long tape across the middle. I try to line it up as even as possible, and then I push in the ends, and that's going to help you for this tape. I do put my leg here so that the box doesn't move back, but I pull out one piece of tape and I stretch it all the way at the end. As I tape that down, I pushed in the box's end so that it doesn't end up stretching outward. And then I tape the rest of the way. So you have your one small piece here to keep it closed, and then you have your long tape. Now the other two pieces of tape on this end are going to be on this side, halfway on the middle, the other side, halfway on this side. So this will be the finished product on the bottom, and then you flip it up to the top. Now for the top, you're going to fold the ends in. Now when you fold the ends in, you want to make sure the corners are shoved in tight, and you're going to want to make a tight little bend here. And the reason I do the bend here is because these flaps will end up opening if you're not careful. So now that you have your box set up, you're going to want to do one more piece of tape. Now this reinforced tape I put on this side because this is the seam of where the box was folded when it's made. As you can see here, these are two smooth sides that don't have that seam. So when this box stretches out over time from shoving your items in, this is going to be less likely to fall apart, but this has a give point right here. So you're going to want to put 2 pieces of tape to reinforce this end, and this will be the front of your box for where you're going to pull. So that's that. Now you may wonder, why is this going to be the front if you're pulling on where this seam is? And the reason I decided to do it, and this is just my way, is because if this was your front and you're pulling over and over again and something happens in the back side will stretch and break open and you may not catch it. And then you have items falling behind your racks, which can be problematic. Once you have your first box put together, you're going to have to start your labeling system. And now I chose to do this labeling system here. I started off with number 1. And then it's gone on all the way till 14,321. These labels are just your generic labels. They fit on the Rolo printer. I created a Excel spreadsheet 0 to 1,000, and then I transferred over to Word, and then I configured the mailings section of Word to print these out so that they would land roughly in the middle. I'm going to do this way, holding the phone, and kind of show you guys how to set up the labels from Excel over to Word. So first thing you need to do is open up Excel. You're going to want to title this first line numbers, and then you're going to want to put 0 through 1,000. You can see here I'm at 15,000, but if you were starting, you would put 0 to 100 or 0 to however many you want to start with. And then you're going to want to save this file. Next, I took a screenshot of this. This is very important. If you guys want, you should stop the video and take a screen grab of this. This is for my particular labels, but this is ideally what you're going to want to look at whenever you're creating this custom dot matrix. It's for the size. You can see this is actually the label right here, and this width and height is going to depend on what size labels you buy. This top margin, this is going to be the gap in between the labels on the stickers. If you guys can see here, this is my box of labels, and they're kind of dusty, but this gap is that top margin that it's talking about. So whenever you're running these labels, if you have this top margin measurement incorrect, then it's going to like shift downward and downward, and then the following labels will be lower and lower to the bottom until the number is cut in half by the label because you just get off track. As you can see here, the top margin, this distance is in PT, and that's points. It's not inches, it's not centimeters. You have to use points because points is the only way to get the exact measurement on the computer. The computer doesn't recognize like 1/8 and centimeters as well, from my experience, and this is just what I did. Just kind of keep this in mind, and I'll show you where this comes into play. So when we open up our windows, now I made this list of instructions because I constantly have issues whenever I go to reprint label because I just forget how to do them. I do them, 2,000 at a time, and I just don't do them very often. So we can go through the instructions here. Margins I make at a 16 point for all four. Now that's in red because it's important, but I also have that screen grab that helps me remember that. Next, we have set up Excel with number of labels desired. That's your 0 to 1,000. Make sure to have number as the title column, and you'll see where number comes into play. Next, open Word. So we're going to open our Word here as a new document, and then we'll just leave this one down here for now. Next, it says go to Filing, More Options, Advanced Display Unit of Measurements Points. So once you're here, you're going to go to File, and you're going to go down to More. When you get to More, you're going to go to Options, and then you're going to want to go to Advanced tab on the left. And then what we're looking for next is Display, so we're going to scroll down until we find Display. And here it is, Display. So next on Display, we're going to go to this, Show Measurements in Units of Points. And you can see here we have inches, centimeters, millimeters, points, and picas, whatever that is. So we're going to select points. Okay, now that that's selected, we're going to go to Mailings up here. And then we're going to go to Start Mail Merge, and that is in this section. And what we want to select for Mail Merge is Labels. Now this page is where you're going to configure what we had up earlier, and that's right here. So when you get here, you're going to want to figure out your points measurements for this width. And you're going to be able to find this on the labels that you purchase. It'll have, maybe 4 inches by 1 inch, which is what mine is. So you would say, what is 4 inches in points? And you can see here 4 inches is 288 points. That's exactly what this is here, 288 points. So that's my label width. And then the label height is going to be the same thing, 1 inch. And then to get the top margin, I think I did guess and check. I'm not sure if I had this measurement or not, or I used a tape measure to figure it out. If you guys don't do this method, you'll see how much more difficult it is to get it exactly on the center of your label. So I would suggest just going with points. So this is set up under this product number, which is just my save for the matrix. I believe that's correct. Let me see. Details, yeah. So that is the one. So we go to OK. And you see here it came up with this box. After we have this finally set up, we're going to select receipt, use existing list with the saved Excel file. We go to select recipients. I said receipt, but recipients. And then use existing. Now I'm going to go to my desktop, and it's just on the desktop. So this is it. Sheets 1 is what I saved it as. and it opened, but nothing happened. So what you want to do is you insert and merge the field. And this is numbers, and that's our save line, numbers. Next, you're going to want to highlight this numbers, and you're going to want to go to sizing it correctly. So I had 48, and then I made it centered on the label. So this is our example label. And you can even see this dotted line is where the gap is in between the labels. And that just plays a huge factor in this. After you do the 48 size and you center it, you're going to want to do update labels. And this is pretty much just saying this is what we want for all the labels we're about to print. So you do update labels. Next, you go to finish and merge. And that's going to be over here to the far right. So it has a little path from left to right. But it is hard because when you select update labels, it doesn't really show you anything that shows it was accepted. You just kind of have to trust it. And then for this one, you're going to want to select each individual documents. And it'll ask you for all, so go ahead and do all. And now it's going to populate all of them. Now we're ready to print. And I would suggest to print just 2 of these labels, or to just be ready to shut off your printer if you start printing and they start cutting off. I'm not going to print any for this because I really don't like printing them because you have to roll them all up, and I just don't really have time to do that right now. But that's pretty much it. You would go to File, Print, and then as you can see here, this dial is going up to 1000. So you're going to want to let this finish out to 1000 before you start printing, just so that the print queue is ready to go. And then you have your Rolo printer or whatever label printer you have set up. And then the rest of this should be fine. I'm not sure if I had to go in. I probably did have to make a custom page size because I see all these other ones. And you're just going to want to get it to that point matrix, which was the 288 and then I guess 81 for this 1 inch. But anyway, it took me like 3 hours to figure this process out. And then whenever I went to print out my next batch, it took me 45 minutes because I did not make a cheat sheet. So I would advise you guys to make a cheat sheet when you're doing anything like this, just so you can save your work. So I'll slowly scroll through this so you guys can see on your own and you can get an idea of how to make these, because I could not find a YouTube video showing how to make these. Hopefully this helps you and saves you some time. It was a huge pain in the butt for me. So this is editing, Sean. Looking back, this 16 point for all 4, I'm not really sure what that even means and if it's even necessary, but the rest of the information is good. But I'm able to get all of my labels in order. So when you have a box filled out, it's going to look like this. All the items are in order here so that you can see them and you can pick them easily for whenever you go to ship your items. Now you may be wondering, what happens whenever you run out of space? Because surely not everything sells fast enough for you to continue to make new boxes and fill up this garage. And that's when it comes to the condensing down portion of the inventory. I'm going to show you how easy it is to condense down the inventory with this system. The first thing we want to do is we want to get the first box, which is the top left corner. That's going to have our earliest inventory. We're going to pull it down so that we can work on it. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab the second box, which is the next oldest, and we're going to set it right next to the other box. Now that we have our 2 boxes here at a level that we can work on safely, I mean, it's possible to do this on a step ladder up top, but I don't like doing it. I think it's much easier to do it this way, and I also think you can get more items packed in tighter this way. So you can see this box has number 43 as the first label, and it goes all the way to 1040 because the items in between those numbers have sold over time. The first item in the second box is going to go directly behind the last item in the first box. Now, my method to doing this is to put my knee in front of the box and to push as tight as I can with one hand, and then I hold it with my right hand, and I take the item in the second box with my left hand, and I shove it behind, and I do this until it's completely tight. Once I decide that the box is full and I cannot fit any more items, I pick it up, and this one will be my new first box, which it still was the first box, but this will be the first box in the inventory in the top left corner. Now that that's done, we're going to pull down the second box. Now that we have the box that was next in line, we're actually going to rotate the box that was next with the one that was after it, and we're going to repeat this process all the way through the inventory. With boxes 3 and 4, you can see that this is only like a quarter of a box full, and this one is only about half of the way full. So one thing, instead of moving the small quarter of a box forward, you could just move the half filled box to the back, and you could put these in front. Now there is a chance you could get confused on the order, but if you do this correctly, this method is actually a little bit faster than moving half of a box into one box. You just move a quarter of a box into the other box. You just got to make sure it's in the front or the back according to the numbers. Now we've condensed down the boxes and we've freed up one box, so this will be for our new inventory when we start listing more items. And you can also see here, this box is not completely tight, so it'll still be our next box up, and we're going to put it in the forward position here, and our next box will be behind it, and we're just going to continue this process. One thing to consider whenever you have this is you want to have a place to store your empty boxes. By the time we're done condensing out all the items, we're going to have a whole stack of boxes that are empty here in the corner. So I want to take a second here to explain some of the flaws to the system. One of the major flaws I have with this system is if a box is really heavy and it's up at the top shelf, which is above my head. Whenever you pull this down, you kind of angle it down, and I like to hold the weight with my left hand, and then I like to reach for the item with my right hand. The issue that happens is when the box is really full, is it's so tight that when you pull up the bag, it actually pulls some of the other items and ends up spilling out right onto your head. Whoa! Whoa! One way to counter that from happening is when you pull the item out and you grab the one item, instead of tilting the box all the way down, try to tilt the box upwards and pull the item straight up so that it doesn't pull up on any of the other items. It'll look something like this. And then you can pull the item down without having an issue of the rest of the items coming with it. Hey, what are you guys doing here? That's the end of the video. I showed you guys everything with my inventory system. I've got 160 boxes to go through, and it's going to take me probably 2 to maybe 3 hours if I don't get on it now. But it's important to do this because if you want to store 5,000 items in your house, all in order, where you never miss an item, you never ship out the wrong item, everything's in order. If you mislabel something on the computer, you can look back in the date for all the ones that were listed in that batch, and you can find a number that's around it and just sort through the box. So at worst, you have to look through one box to find an item rather than your entire store. I hope you guys got something out of this inventory video. Please leave comments down below if I missed something. I had a lot of struggle making this recording because my son Seth was having a hard time and my wife is really sick right now, so it was just very difficult. I had to stop and start. Make sure to like and subscribe for more. I'm gonna just kind of show you guys how I run my business, so maybe you can, take what you like out of it and just leave the rest behind. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Whoa! Whoa! It's inventory time.